When the name Jasmine Crockett comes up, people think of someone bold, brilliant, and absolutely unafraid to speak her truth. But what just happened took things to a whole new level. Jasmine recently walked out of a courtroom with an $800 million legal victory under her belt. Yes, $800 million, and it wasn't just a legal win. It was a cultural moment. The ripple effects of that victory went far beyond legal circles and hit the media world right in the gut. So when she appeared on The View shortly after the verdict, most expected a celebratory, soft-touch interview. What they got instead was something much more explosive. Jasmine came prepared, confident, and completely unapologetic. From the moment she sat down, the energy in the room shifted, and it was clear she wasn't there to play games. At first, the hosts of The View tried to keep things light, asking her the usual questions about how she felt winning such a massive case. Jasmine responded with grace, but she didn't just stick to rehearsed lines. She immediately turned the conversation toward the importance of truth, justice, and holding powerful interests accountable. Then came the moment when one of the hosts tried to challenge the legitimacy of the lawsuit. That's when Jasmine shifted gears. Without raising her voice, she broke down the legal battle point by point, explaining the timeline, the evidence, the stakes, and exactly how her team dismantled the opposition. The audience went quiet, and not out of boredom, but sheer awe. It wasn't just a flex, it was a full-on legal masterclass live on national television. The tone of the interview began to change quickly after that. One of the panelists questioned whether the $800 million payout was excessive. That's when Jasmine Crockett delivered one of the coldest, most commanding responses of the segment. She leaned in and said, "When a company violates people's rights and covers it up for years, what do you think justice should look like? Flowers and a thank you card." The audience erupted. It was clear she wasn't there to sugarcoat anything. Her command over the facts and ability to explain complex legal points in plain language made everyone sit up straighter. Even the most seasoned hosts on the panel were caught off guard. It wasn't just about the money up, it was about accountability, and Jasmine was making sure no one missed the point. As the discussion deepened, another host tried redirecting the narrative by suggesting that maybe the media, including shows like The View, should be more neutral when covering controversial figures. Jasmine didn't hesitate. She fired back, calmly but firmly, that neutrality in the face of injustice is complicity. She questioned why media outlets often give platforms to misinformation or false equivalency in the name of balance. The room went silent again, and you could feel the discomfort growing. But Jasmine didn't flinch. She explained how the media sometimes downplays the harm done by powerful institutions while being overly critical of those who fight back. She wasn't just there to celebrate a victory, she was using her time to call out an entire ecosystem that, in her view, enables inequality. Then came the question that really ignited the fire. One of the co-hosts asked whether Crockett's victory would inspire more frivolous lawsuits. The word itself was a mistake. Jasmine leaned forward and, with calm intensity, explained exactly how dismissive that term is when applied to cases brought by marginalized people who've been denied justice for decades. She walked the panel through how hard it is to even get a case of this magnitude to court, let alone win. She talked about the late nights, the financial risks, the intimidation tactics used against her team, and the years it took to build an airtight argument. By the time she was done, the word frivolous didn't stand a chance. Halfway through the segment, it was clear the show had lost control of the narrative. What was meant to be a celebration had turned into a clinic on justice, power, and media responsibility. Jasmine Crockett wasn't just answering questions, she was turning them into teachable moments. Every time someone tried to pivot or soften the conversation, she brought it right back to accountability. She reminded the audience that this victory wasn't just for her or her client, but for anyone who's been told their pain doesn't matter. And she wasn't there for feel-good sound bites, she was there to shift minds, and she was doing it. As tension built, the hosts began to look visibly uncomfortable. The smiles faded. A few tried to regain footing with humor or light commentary, but Jasmine wasn't playing along. She answered every question with clarity and conviction. No fluff, no dodge. At one point, she even asked one of the hosts, if the roles were reversed, Would you be asking the same questions? It wasn't aggressive, it was piercing, and the audience knew it. That single moment was enough to silence any remaining resistance. It felt like the power dynamic in the room had flipped entirely. Jasmine wasn't the guest anymore, she was running the show. Social media lit up almost instantly. Clips of the interview were posted online before the segment even ended. Hashtags trended within minutes. People were calling it one of the most powerful TV appearances of the year. Viewers praised Jasmine's brilliance, courage, and refusal to back down. Many even questioned whether The View had underestimated her and walked straight into a masterclass. Commentators, legal analysts, and fans across the board agreed that this wasn't just an interview, it was a cultural reset, and Crockett walked away from that stage not just as a lawyer, but as a force. After the show aired, producers released a short statement thanking Jasmine for appearing, but it was clear the show's team hadn't expected things to go that way. Meanwhile, Crockett released her own message, grateful for the platform but firm in her belief that real conversations can't be sanitized. She made it clear she didn't come to entertain, but to speak truth. The message landed hard. Other networks began inviting her for follow-up interviews. Political groups praised her for standing her ground. And more importantly, communities impacted by the lawsuit she won felt seen, heard, and empowered. In the end, Jasmine Crockett's $800 million courtroom victory was just the beginning. What she did on The View proved that when truth meets preparation, even the most polished platforms can't spin their way out. She walked into that studio with facts, fire, and a purpose, and walked out with the nation's attention. It wasn't just about the money, it was about showing that justice isn't a trend, it's a fight. And Jasmine, she's not just fighting it, she's leading it. After that day, no one could doubt it. She didn't just appear on The View, she owned it, and she left no seat at the table untouched.